For an incredible 160 million years, they were the undisputed rulers of our planet, no question. And then, in a single day, it all came to a fiery end. So let's dive into the story of that final, catastrophic 24 hours, the day the age of the dinosaurs was over.
I want you to try and picture it, a world so much warmer than today, covered in these lush, almost alien forests. That was Earth, 66 million years ago. A planet that, for a length of time that's almost impossible for us to grasp, 160 million years, belonged to the dinosaurs. They were, for all intents and purposes, evolution's masterpiece on this planet.
You know, their reign must have seemed like it would last forever. So the real mystery, the big question we have to ask is, how could a dynasty that lasted for 160 million years get wiped out almost completely in a single terrifying day?
To really understand the end, you first have to appreciate the world that was lost. We're talking about the absolute peak of their power, a planet just teeming with giants.
And the scale of life back then is it's staggering. In the area we now call British Columbia, you had the T-Rex, the most fearsome predator of its age, stalking its prey. And at the same time, soaring above them with a wingspan of 12 meters was Quetzalcoatlus, the largest flying creature of all time. This wasn't some primitive swamp, it was a complex, thriving ecosystem.
But while life was flourishing on Earth, an ancient threat was on a collision course with history. A rock from space that was about to change absolutely everything.
And you know, this wasn't just some random rock. The story starts way before that day, 320 million kilometers away in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. There was a collision, kind of like a cosmic car crash, that sent a massive fragment hurtling onto a brand new path, a path aimed directly at Earth.
The sheer size of this thing is just hard to wrap your head around. We're talking about a rock more than 10 kilometers wide. To put that in perspective for you, it was taller than Mount Everest is high, an object of truly unimaginable scale.
And it wasn't just big, it was unbelievably fast. As our planet's gravity pulled it in, it just kept accelerating, hitting over 72,000 kilometers per hour. It was a 2 trillion-ton cosmic bullet, and it was locked on target.
So, after a journey that took millions of years, the day of reckoning finally arrived. Let's break down that moment of impact, which happened in the shallow waters of what is now the Gulf of Mexico.
The energy that was released it's almost incomprehensible. 100 million megatons. Okay, what does that even mean? It means it was more powerful than every single nuclear weapon ever built by humans, all detonated in the same spot at the same time. An absolutely unthinkable cataclysm.
So let's break down what happened in the very first second. First, the atmosphere right in front of the asteroid got crushed into a plasma fireball hotter than the surface of the sun. Second, the asteroid itself and the sea beneath it didn't just melt, they instantly vaporized into gas. And third, a massive chunk of the Earth's crust, 120,000 cubic kilometers of solid rock, was blasted straight out into space.
But the destruction wasn't just contained to the impact site. Not even close. This was the start of a global catastrophe. This was a planet being set on fire.
The effects were felt instantly, but they were really different depending on how far away you were. At ground zero, anything exposed to a 300-degree heat blast was basically boiled alive in an instant. But what's really chilling is what happened 5,000 kilometers away. A dinosaur there would have just seen this brilliant, terrifyingly beautiful glow on the horizon, the very first sign that their world was about to end.
And the speed of this destruction is just insane. Just 16 minutes after impact, a magnitude 11 earthquake, the most powerful quake in our planet's entire history, shakes the whole continent. Less than an hour after that, a superheated cloud of debris is baking the other side of the planet in Mongolia. And then, within 2 hours, the entire globe is on fire, as all that rock that was blasted into space starts raining back down through the atmosphere like trillions of meteors.
That initial impact, as bad as it was really just the beginning. It triggered this horrifying cascade of secondary disasters that made any kind of long-term survival impossible. This was the Great Dying. It was just a relentless assault on all life. You had mega tsunamis hundreds of meters high that just erased coastlines. The firestorms burned entire continents. Acid rain poisoned all the water. The shockwave even triggered massive volcanic eruptions around the world, just adding to the chaos. But the final nail in the coffin? That was something else entirely.
And that was the nuclear winter. All that dust, smoke, and debris that got thrown up into the upper atmosphere, it created this thick, dark blanket all the way around the Earth. It blocked out the sun, not for a day or a week, but for years. Global temperatures plummeted, and the plants, the very foundation of the entire food chain, died off.
But even in the middle of a global apocalypse like this, life finds a way. From the ashes of the old world, a completely new era was about to begin. So, why did the dinosaurs die while others made it through? The key difference was size and shelter. The dinosaurs were just too big to hide. They were out in the open, completely exposed. But small creatures, like our own early mammal ancestors, they could take shelter in underground burrows, protecting them from the heat, the fire, and the fallout. It really was the meek who inherited the Earth.
For years, the world was a bleak wasteland, covered mostly in fungus growing on all the rotting remains. But eventually, the very first green shoots of recovery started to appear. These incredibly tough, resilient ferns were the first plants to reclaim the burned landscape, slowly, over thousands of years, restarting the entire engine of life.
And here's the kicker, the part that's all about us. With the giant reptiles gone, the world was suddenly full of opportunity. It was a wide-open planet. And mammals, who had been living in the shadows for millions of years, suddenly exploded in diversity, filling every single empty space the dinosaurs left behind. This was the dawn of the age of mammals.
And that really brings us to the ultimate takeaway. That single, chance collision didn't just end the world of the dinosaurs, it's what made our world possible. It's an incredible thing to think about. Their extinction was the price of our existence. Only because they died can we live.